Let us begin with an empowered woman or an empowered human being has to have a healed inner child, because otherwise you don't know unflappability, which comes with secure attachment, and the restorative embodiment of you is quite accessible if you choose to do the personal development and, if need be, obviously the inner child healing. What we get to see are a lot of people that don't have it all, in the forefront, because the teenager of every person, the adaptive child, tends to lead the way. You will always notice who's a teenager versus who's empowered. As an emotional grown-up and empowered person will know they don't know everything. That's the marriage to Shiva. I'm a 5D mystic, enlightenment soul age group. That is enlightenment person. Yes, right here. And that's because I'm a restorative embodiment of my own mammalian heritage. I have integration of the brain capacity. I know how to keep everything locked in and loaded. In fact, while people are yelling at me or doing anything. Not because I am a subject of fear. No, it's called unflappability, somatic empath. Empowerment means that I know how to be, like my somatic teacher taught us when he was teaching me in one of my courses about what the restorative embodiment looks like of a person. He called it the angry Buddhist. I was like, I can see that, but I'm not a Buddhist. I'm a Christian and a Catholic, although, we do know the ancient institutions and the people who are not using expansion of consciousness, and basically they don't know love. So those groups are actually thinking like yoga brings demons out of you, versus understanding how your mammalian heritage works and that you got trauma charges that come up. And see, what I explained in one of our most recent mystic shares is that the practice of mindfulness, the pillars of mindfulness, we don't have to call it that. In fact, the sciences people are trying to use secular mindfulness for the ones who remain ignorant about what mindfulness is, and they keep on thinking it means you have to be Buddhist. So people who don't do what is called, let me open my mind to understand how my human brain works. Okay, just saying. So people are uninterested in being human. You see them. There's the teenagers. They know everything, and yet then again, they call people assholes. We all can be an asshole. So let me begin, because today we talk about the beauty. Oh, wait, I got the fool's journey. Well, we'll keep it, but I was looking for fear. Because see, fear, and I need to take steps back to be first compassionate. Human beings who do not have a healed inner child do not yet have a full relationship with their inner child heart, and so they are not unflappable. They are triggerable. And they're not energy vampires or demons. The 4D keep talking about people in that way. It's really disrespectful, not kind, not in any way, shape, or form Christ consciousness. So 5D, oneness consciousness, Christ consciousness, when I learned about it, I was really excited. I still am. And today I'm even more excited because the 5D educators are all out there, the good mental health professionals, informing you of how to achieve your own restorative embodiment. Where's my phones? I got a bunch of phones, and now I lost the one phone that had the restorative embodiment, but it's okay. We won't go there. So empowerment essentially means that you don't hate men, women, theys, humanity. No, that word, in fact, even when I used it just for a short time, I still didn't feel good using it. And I knew I was using it, quote unquote, because I was angry. And it was for good reason, for me, not for other people. So here's where, humbly speaking, I said, I'm going to leave it alone. And then they all went ahead. No, I actively in time got to heal stuff. So let's talk about our topic though. How does a person who is only loving, it means compersion, it means I don't have envy, jealousy, spite, I don't have revenge. Those are all low self-esteem emotions. It's not about a devil or a demon. This is where people like to give a story. I'm going to do like what I saw in Criminal Minds. We don't need to label it, because actually it's very simplified. It's unfortunate people don't know of Michael Stone's evil scale, the 1 to 22. Every single person in that group, if they get a good therapist, like Patrick Tiahan, he's a childhood trauma survivor, healed and healing, and his biggest regret was his childhood made him unkind. He knows all about the inner child that isn't healed and why people date shitty people. Meaning they're not shitty. I should be nice. They're all attachment wounded and the ones with unresolved trauma. So here's where I'm trying to bring the conversation of any person can become loving, a human love narrative. They don't need to suffer. If they don't learn how to use their embodied brain well, then we got Elsa's journey all over the place. And that's why we see Peter Pan's and what I call Venuses of goddesses. And, actually, here's the academics. They say that human beings need or will always need. I beg to differ because I'm a human who doesn't need that. The culty cults, traditional cults, ethical cults, because they need a silverback. Don't give me a silverback because I won't be looking at them the same way. I'll be thinking, wow, you're a dying breed. Do you know that? Because I know what it takes for life to become extended. That's called your inner well-being, which involves your restorative embodiment. So who's the smart one? I would say it's the people who learn how to get integrated. Who are the ones who are not as keen to being smart? Now, let me again share. Trauma, very important to note. It is not something you delete. It is something that comes up. So any person who does get into the envy, the jealousy, the spite, any person who doesn't begin to heal their shame cycle, it's called an inner critic, outer critic. Then they go fuck, drug, what else is it? Alcohol, I forgot about that one. Any self-soothing mechanisms that are not healthy. You'd think as people got older, they'd realize if I lead an unhealthy lifestyle, okay, so a group of people are not empowered with the possibility to be surrounded by educated individuals. That's why we get to share. I get to share the word. So an empowered woman will not be looking down upon any human being. And in fact, the more empowered you become, the more when you're presented with, you want it, which I did get presented to me. And I was just like, what? No, I knew my friend was in an upset mood because we had just previously had a conversation where I presented to them a bit of a truth and their inner child didn't like the truth. And so that's what happens when a 0-1-year-old and a broken-hearted shame cycle 3-year-old is not a teenager, they're a grown man. And they then come to you with a sentence that a woman who would not be empowered would find it offensive. I found it not offensive. I found it I actually am actively aware of so many men that have attachment wounds that I'm just used to being in the presence of Cusco's. So it's more like I just said, no, that's not what I want. And because my tone, that's a ventral vagal tone, it was just like, what? And that's because I'm present. You know why? Because my friend doesn't represent a threat to me. I have no insecurities. So when they came at me with their biologically rude attitude, which is their attachment wound, their inner child. This is a human being who is not online consciously. They are reactive. Now, could they look at their behavior? Yes, they could. I don't need an apology from them because the reality is I don't care about an apology. I care about their well-being. So I think about my friend and I'm like, I hope they find a good therapist. I think they might have some alters going on because of what I've observed and because I'm attachment trauma informed. So I am not offended. I have not decided to unfriend them. No, they're still my friend. And if they come out with their little attitude again, I will have the same way to answer them because nobody gets offended when you have, an ego and a self. And I love to use both because they still are here. My 3-year-old and 1-year-old didn't go anywhere. They just became more and more unflappable and equanimous because of the thing called I have love for me, just the way I am, imperfect and flawed. So you can go no contact. You can come in and out of my life. You can do whatever you want. You haven't affected me. I have healthy self-worth. This is what it means here, not in here. No. This is shutting up right now. This hasn't been able to, it doesn't need to talk because I'm present, curious, open, accepting, and loving. I'm not going to make assumptions. I don't need to tell you how to behave. I don't want to. I'm not your mother. I'm not going to tell you how to use your mouth or how to use your heart because really it's none of my business. I know how I'm going to perform and I'm not performing. So here's the other thing, empowered women and men and theys, anybody who knows how to be their self, we don't wear masks, which is why Pacha, there's a bunch of Cuscos. Anytime I see a mask, I'm just so used to people not knowing how to actually just be a direct communicator. So when you meet men who get into, fantasy stage, they have all these ideas. Yeah, you learn enough times that men who just, that's all they do. So they have addictions for that in and out behavior. So when they come back around or not, we don't take them seriously. An empowered woman will smile and be like, wow, you're so adorable today. What are you going to bring me tomorrow? And we're not using any type of thought, nothing. It's more like, I hope they get better. At this point, as an attachment trauma-informed human being, I hope every man that ever I've met that has an attachment wound goes to good therapy. Child parts work, EMDR, and somatics. That way they can get to their restorative embodiment and actually know love and a lot more than just love. Passion. Passion is ongoing when you are whole inside and when you get to share it. It's nice.